After my husband, a retired Army colonel, passed away, my mother-in-law said, "I want the house, the family business, everything he left behind." My attorney urged me to fight. I shook my head. Let her have it. The entire courtroom thought I'd lost my mind. At the final hearing, I signed every document. She smiled like she'd already won. Then the judge closed the file, looked at her attorney, and asked one question. My husband's ashes weren't even cold when she said it. We were standing in my own driveway, casserole dishes still stacked on the porch. "The house is family property now, you understand." She said it the way you'd remind someone about a parking rule. I understood something else entirely. In 19 years of marriage, she had never once called me family. Not at our wedding, not at either of my children's christenings, not during the 11 days I spent sleeping in a hospital recliner while my husband's heart gave out for the second time. Family was a word she reached for only when there was something to divide. My attorney, a calm man who had handled 2 of my husband's business contracts over the years, thought I had lost my mind. You don't just hand over a manufacturing company. There are employees, there's equity, this isn't a casserole dish. I told him to draft the transfer papers anyway. I gave him half an answer because the whole answer didn't make sense yet even to me. 11 years earlier, my husband had come home from a legal conference in a strange, quiet mood with a folder he wouldn't let me see. He told me, almost offhand, that if anything ever happened to him, I wasn't to fight his mother in court. Let her think she's winning. Just sign whatever my attorney puts in front of you when the time comes. Promise me. I promise because you promise your husband things like that without expecting to ever need them. The folder turned up 3 weeks after the funeral. At the bottom of his gun safe, behind the coin collection his father left him. A trust, the label read in his handwriting, the same careful block letters he used on maintenance logs. I sat on the closet floor and read it by lamplight while my son slept down the hall. I laughed out loud once, the kind of laugh that comes out sounding more like a sob. My mother-in-law, meanwhile, told anyone who'd listen that I was finally being reasonable. She brought a real estate agent through my kitchen while I was at the grocery store. She asked my daughter whether she was excited to redecorate once things got sorted. She had already picked new paint colors. I said nothing. I let her measure the windows. The false calm lasted 6 weeks. My attorney filed the paperwork exactly as I asked. No objections, nothing to slow the hearing down. Her attorney seemed almost disappointed there was nothing to fight. He told her privately, according to a mutual friend, that this would be the easiest transfer of his career. The morning of the final hearing, she wore pearls that were new. Not from my husband's family, not the ones she'd worn to his retirement ceremony. New ones, bought for the occasion, like she was dressing for a graduation instead of a courtroom. My attorney slid documents across the table one at a time, and I signed each without reading past the signature line, because I had already read the one document that mattered 3 weeks earlier at midnight on a closet floor. My mother-in-law watched me sign the way you'd watch a vending machine finally give up your candy bar. Not one question from her side of the table, not one flicker of hesitation. She leaned toward her attorney at one point and whispered something that made him smile. She thought I had simply run out of fight. When the last page was signed, the judge, reading glasses pushed low on her nose, gathered the stack and began reading through it. The room did what rooms do when they expect a formality. People shifted, someone's phone buzzed, a bailiff checked his watch. The judge stopped shifting through the pages partway down the stack. She read one of them again. Then she set the whole stack down flat on the bench, folded her hands over it, and looked up. Not at me, not at my attorney. She looked at her attorney. "Counselor," she said, and the room went still. "Did your client disclose to you that the house and the family business were placed into an irrevocable trust 7 years ago? One that names your client a contingent beneficiary only after the surviving spouse?" His face went from confident to gray in about 2 seconds. "Your Honor, that wasn't part of the filing we received." "It wouldn't have been," the judge said. "Everything your client spent 6 weeks arranging to receive was never hers." My mother-in-law grabbed his sleeve. "He told me himself the house was mine. He did 12 years ago when it might have been true." My husband outlived the promise.